In today's hyper-connected world, oversharing has become the norm. We're encouraged to broadcast our thoughts, emotions, and struggles, believing that transparency equals authenticity. But what if this very habit isn't making you stronger, but weaker? Every time you reveal your private struggles, ambitions, or fears, you give others unnecessary influence over your life. You might expect support, but instead you receive doubt, judgment, or even manipulation. The truth is, not everything should be shared. Keeping certain aspects of your life private isn't about secrecy. It's about strategy. Think of a fortress. The strongest fortresses aren't wide open to anyone. They are guarded, protected, and allow access only to those who have earned trust. Your mind, emotions, and ambitions should be the same. Even Marcus Aurelius, one of history's greatest Stoic philosophers, kept his deepest reflections private in a personal journal, not on public display. If a ruler of an empire saw wisdom in silence, perhaps we should too. In this video, I'll reveal 7 things you should never share with anyone. These insights will help you protect your peace, power, and progress. By the end, you'll understand why silence isn't just self-protection, it's power. Fear is a universal human experience. We all have moments of doubt, whether it's fear of failure, rejection, uncertainty, or loss. But here's the harsh truth. The moment you reveal your deepest fears, you give others power over you. Even those with the best intentions may unconsciously treat you differently. Once they know what unsettles you, some might pity you, some may doubt your abilities, and others, intentionally or not, may subtly push you into situations that reinforce your fears instead of helping you overcome them. And in the worst cases, those who seek control over you, whether in personal relationships, social circles, or professional settings, can use your fears to manipulate your actions and decisions. How fear can be used against you. Imagine you confide in a colleague that you fear public speaking. The next time an important presentation opportunity arises, instead of encouraging you to face your fear, they volunteer themselves instead, positioning themselves as the more capable choice. You don't even realize it, but slowly, you're being boxed into a position of self-doubt while they gain power. Or let's say you tell a friend that you're afraid of failure. Instead of motivating you, they, perhaps unintentionally, reinforce that fear. They might say things like, "Are you sure you're ready for that challenge? It's really risky." Or, "I knew someone who tried that and failed. It was really tough for them." Even if their words are meant to be helpful, they plant seeds of hesitation, causing you to second-guess yourself. And in doing so, they subtly position themselves as wiser, more experienced, or more competent, while you remain stuck in fear. The Stoic perspective. Fear as fuel. Instead of seeking comfort through external validation, cultivate inner resilience. The Stoics believed that fear should not be externalized. It should be confronted and mastered internally. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, faced wars, political betrayals, and the burden of ruling an empire. Yet, he never spoke publicly about his fears. He processed them privately, using them as a source of discipline and self-improvement, rather than a weakness to be exposed. He understood that fear is not something to be announced. It is something to be overcome. A Stoic does not deny fear. They master it in silence. Practical Stoic strategies for mastering fear. Face your fear internally. Instead of externalizing fear, analyze it objectively. Ask yourself, what is the worst that could happen? More often than not, the worst-case scenario is far less catastrophic than we imagine. Turn fear into a challenge. Rather than avoiding what scares you, see it as an opportunity for growth. The things we fear most often hold the greatest lessons. Strengthen your mindset through action. Fear thrives on inaction. The more you delay confronting a fear, the stronger it becomes. Start small, take decisive steps, and build resilience over time. Limit external reassurance. Seeking constant validation weakens your inner resolve. Instead, cultivate a mindset where you become your own source of confidence. By keeping your fears private and confronting them on your own terms, you preserve your power, ensuring that no one else can exploit your vulnerabilities. Let the world see your courage, not your fears. Desires drive us. They shape our ambitions, fuel our motivation, and guide us toward what we believe will bring fulfillment. Whether it's launching a business, mastering a new skill, or achieving a personal milestone, our desires represent our deepest aspirations. They give us purpose and direction, yet few people realize that the moment you announce your biggest goals, you dilute their power. Why sharing your desires can work against you. It feels natural to share our dreams. We seek encouragement, validation, and sometimes even accountability from those around us. But paradoxically, talking about our desires too soon can actually make us less likely to achieve them. Psychological research has shown that when we talk about our goals, our brain releases dopamine, the same chemical that rewards us for accomplishing something. This creates a false sense of progress, tricking the brain into feeling as if the goal has already been achieved. As a result, motivation to take real action decreases. We feel like we've done something, when in reality, nothing has changed. For example, imagine you're passionate about starting a business. You excitedly share your idea with friends and colleagues, expecting support. Instead, you receive unsolicited opinions, skepticism, and discouragement. You hear comments like, "That market is too competitive. Are you sure you'll succeed? Starting the business is risky. You should probably stick with a steady job. Do you even have the right experience for that?" What was once your vision now becomes clouded by the fears, biases, and limitations of others. The excitement that initially drove you turns into hesitation, and before you know it, you're second-guessing your path. The Stoic perspective: keep your desires private. Let actions speak. The ancient Stoics understood that desires should not be externally validated. They should be internally cultivated. They believed that true fulfillment comes from disciplined action, not external recognition. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers and Roman emperors, never openly spoke about his personal ambitions. Instead, he focused on doing the work quietly, letting his impact speak for itself. His legacy wasn't built on declarations, it was built on action. A lion doesn't need to announce its plans, it simply hunts. A Stoic doesn't boast about future success, they let their results speak for themselves. Practical strategies to guard your desires: move in silence. Avoid discussing your goals until you've made real progress. Let people see the results, not the intentions. Recognize the power of internal motivation. The only validation that matters is the one that comes from within. If your goal is meaningful to you, that's enough. Filter out unnecessary opinions. Not everyone has the vision or mindset to understand your ambitions. Protect your desires from negative influence and discouragement. Take small, focused actions. Instead of talking about what you're going to do, focus on the next step that brings you closer to your goal. Let each step build momentum. When you stop broadcasting your desires and start working on them privately, you gain control over your journey. You eliminate distractions, avoid unnecessary criticism, And most importantly, keep the fire of ambition burning within you. In a world where people are quick to share and slow to act, be the opposite. Move in silence, and let success be your voice. Life is filled with challenges, personal doubts, emotional hardships, and career frustrations. Everyone has inner battles they fight daily, often in silence. In difficult moments, the natural instinct is to vent, to seek comfort by sharing our burdens with others, hoping for relief. But here's a truth many overlook. Venting often reinforces the struggle rather than solving it. Why sharing your struggles can make them worse. We've been taught that talking things out helps us heal. While it's true that expressing emotions can bring temporary relief, it rarely leads to real solutions. Instead, it often creates an unhealthy cycle of dependency on external validation rather than internal strength. Let's say you confide in a colleague about your frustrations at work. You expect support, but instead, you receive one of two responses. Pity. They sympathize, but their reaction subtly reinforces your sense of helplessness. Instead of empowering you, they confirm that your situation is indeed bad. Unsolicited advice. They tell you what you should do, often without fully understanding your situation. Their advice may be impractical or misaligned with your reality, leaving you feeling even more frustrated. Either way, you don't actually feel better. Instead, you leave the conversation even more burdened, now carrying both your struggles and their reactions to them. When you constantly talk about your struggles, you begin to identify with them. You reinforce the narrative of suffering instead of focusing on how to rise above it. The Stoic approach. Strength is built internally. The great Stoic philosophers, Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, faced immense hardships. They endured exile, slavery, betrayal, and war. Yet they did not constantly complain or seek external validation. Instead, they saw hardship as fuel for growth. Seneca, despite being sent into exile, did not dwell on his misfortune. Instead, he turned inward, writing and reflecting, using the experience to strengthen his resilience. Epictetus, once a slave, did not waste time lamenting his circumstances. He focused on what he could control: his mind, his reactions, and his wisdom. Epictetus once taught, "Pain becomes power when endured in silence." They understood a powerful truth. Hardship is not something to be announced. It is something to be conquered. How to build inner strength. Instead of seeking validation, self-reflect before speaking. Before venting, ask yourself, will sharing this actually solve my problem, or am I just seeking validation? If the answer is validation, resist the urge to share. Channel struggles into growth. Instead of focusing on the hardship, focus on how you will overcome it. Turn pain into discipline, self-improvement, and quiet resilience. Write instead of vent. Marcus Aurelius kept his struggles in his private journal, not in public conversations. Writing allows you to process emotions without external influence and helps you gain clarity. Shift your mindset. Instead of thinking, "Why is this happening to me?" reframe it as, "How can I grow from this?" This small shift transforms suffering into an opportunity for strength and wisdom. In a world where people constantly seek external validation for their struggles, be different. Master your pain in silence. Let people see your strength, not your suffering. Money is one of the most powerful yet dangerous topics in human relationships. Whether you have a lot of it or very little, discussing your financial situation invites unnecessary attention, expectations, and judgment. Some people believe that Openly talking about money, whether it's their financial success or struggles, helps build connections, inspire others, or even gain sympathy. But in reality, discussing wealth often leads to jealousy, resentment, or manipulation, rather than genuine understanding. Why talking about money can backfire. Money changes how people perceive you. It doesn't matter whether you're financially successful or struggling. The moment others know too much about your financial status, their behavior toward you shifts. If you talk about financial success, you may experience friends or family expecting favors, assuming that since you're doing well, you should cover the bill, lend them money, or be more generous. Some people resenting your success, subtly undermining you or making passive-aggressive comments. Others judging you, assuming you must have done something unfair to earn it. If you talk about financial struggles, you might encounter pity, even when you don't want it, unsolicited advice, often from people who don't truly understand your situation, people treating you differently, seeing you as less capable, or distancing themselves from you. Imagine you mention to a group of friends that you received a significant pay raise. At first, they congratulate you, but the next time you go out for dinner, the expectations shift. Suddenly, there's an unspoken assumption that you should pick up the tab. If you don't, you might be seen as stingy, even though your finances are your responsibility alone. On the other hand, if you disclose that you're struggling financially, you might be bombarded with opinions. You should invest in crypto. Have you tried budgeting better? Maybe you should just work harder. Instead of receiving real help, you find yourself trapped in awkward, judgmental, or condescending conversations. The Stoic approach. Wealth is a tool, not a topic. Marcus Aurelius, one of the wealthiest and most powerful emperors in history, never defined himself by his financial status. Despite ruling an empire, his focus was on inner virtues, justice, wisdom, and discipline. His personal writings reflect a deep understanding that money is fleeting, but character endures. True wealth is measured by contentment, not currency. Stoicism teaches us that wealth, whether abundance or scarcity, should be viewed neutrally. It is neither inherently good nor bad. What matters is how you use it, not how much you have. How to handle money conversations like a Stoic. Keep financial matters private. Whether you're thriving or struggling, resist the urge to discuss your wealth openly. Let your actions and stability speak for themselves. Detach your self-worth from money. Financial highs and lows are temporary. True success is not about the numbers in your bank account, but about how you navigate life with wisdom and integrity. Avoid money comparisons. Measuring yourself against others financially leads to envy, dissatisfaction, and unnecessary stress. Focus on your own path instead of competing with someone else's journey. Use wealth wisely. If you have money, let it be a tool for security, growth, and helping others quietly, rather than a topic of conversation. In a world where people are obsessed with status and wealth, keeping your financial situation private is an act of power and wisdom. Instead of talking about money, focus on building true wealth, the kind that no one can take away: peace of mind, integrity, and self-mastery. Failure is an inevitable part of life. No one succeeds without stumbling along the way. But while failure is a valuable teacher, sharing your past failures too openly can do more harm than good. In today's culture, there is a strong push toward radical transparency, where people are encouraged to share every setback as a badge of honor. While vulnerability can sometimes foster connection, Constantly revisiting your failures can trap you in them, making others define you not by your growth, but by what went wrong. Why sharing failures can hold you back. We often believe that sharing our struggles will inspire others or earn their respect. But in reality, most people don't focus on your resilience. They remember the failure itself. If you talk about past failures in business, people may hesitate to trust you with new opportunities. If you discuss personal failures, some might start viewing you as reckless, unreliable, or incapable. If you repeatedly revisit your past mistakes, you risk reinforcing them in your own mind, making it harder to truly move forward. Let's say you openly discuss a business that failed. You expect others to admire your perseverance and the lessons you've learned. But instead, they subtly associate you with failure. Didn't they try running a company before, and it didn't work out? They have good ideas, but I'm not sure they can execute them. I should be cautious before investing in their new venture. Even if you've moved on, others might continue to see you through the lens of your past setbacks. The Stoic perspective. Failure is a lesson, not an identity. The great Stoics embraced failure as a learning experience but never let it define them. They understood that life is full of trials, and true strength lies in how you respond to setbacks, not in how often you discuss them. Epictetus, who was born into slavery and endured great hardships, never dwelled on his misfortunes. Instead, he focused on self-mastery, developing a philosophy that emphasized resilience and control over one's perceptions. His value was not in what he suffered, but in how he transformed suffering into wisdom. A warrior does not boast of lost battles. He learns from them in silence. How to handle failure. Like a Stoic, extract the lesson. Leave the story behind. Reflect on your failures privately. Instead of using them as a conversation piece, internalize the lessons and apply them to your future decisions. Let actions define your growth. Instead of talking about how you've overcome failure, demonstrate it through your results. Let your success speak louder than your setbacks. Resist the urge for external validation. Some people share failures to seek reassurance. But the most powerful growth happens when you don't need others to validate your journey. Use silence as strength. The less you dwell on the past, the more energy you have for the present. When failure becomes an internal stepping stone rather than an external talking point, you free yourself to move forward without being tethered to past mistakes. Failure is not meant to be a lifelong identity. It is a lesson, a stepping stone, a teacher. The strongest people are not those who constantly recount their failures, but those who quietly learn, adapt, and rise again. In a world where people overshare their struggles for sympathy or validation, choose to embody quiet resilience. Let your past failures be your own, and let the world see only the strength that came from them. Politics is one of the most divisive topics in today's world. While discussions about governance, society, and policies can be important, openly sharing your personal political beliefs can do more harm than good. In an era where political identity often overshadows personal character, people quickly categorize others based on their views. The moment you express a strong political stance, people begin to see you through the lens of your beliefs, rather than your actions, values, or skills. Why sharing your political views can backfire at work. You express a political opinion and suddenly colleagues treat you differently, either with newfound camaraderie or subtle hostility. Even if they don't openly disagree, they may begin to see you as one of them or one of the others. Among friends or family, political disagreements can create lasting tension, sometimes even damaging relationships that were once built on trust and shared experiences. On social media, expressing political views online often invites arguments, criticism, and negativity. Instead of productive discussions, these exchanges frequently descend into emotional battles where no one truly listens. People rarely change their minds due to political debates. Instead of leading to understanding, politics often leads to division. The Stoic perspective: focus on universal virtues, not arguments. The Stoics were not indifferent to the world around them, but they understood that actions speak louder than debates. Rather than getting caught up in ideological battles, they focused on timeless virtues that transcend politics. Justice: treating others with fairness, regardless of political labels. Wisdom: making decisions based on rational thinking, not emotional reactions. Courage: standing by your principles without needing to impose them on others. Marcus Aurelius ruled one of the largest empires in history, yet he avoided divisive rhetoric. Instead of engaging in public political battles, he focused on governing with integrity and wisdom, ensuring his actions reflected his values rather than wasting time on pointless debates. Influence through action, not through argument. How to handle political beliefs like a Stoic: keep your views private. Not every opinion needs to be shared. By keeping your beliefs to yourself, you protect your peace and maintain neutrality in relationships. Let actions reflect your values. Instead of arguing about justice, fairness, or ethics, demonstrate them in your behavior. Lead by example, not by words. Avoid the trap of online debates. Social media is full of performative arguments. People aren't debating to learn, they're debating to win. Choose silence over fruitless conflict. Focus on the bigger picture. Many political arguments are short-term and reactionary. Stoicism teaches us to think long-term and focus on the principles that matter across all time periods: wisdom, justice, and self-mastery. In a world that constantly tries to divide people into opposing sides, choose to be different. Stay above petty arguments and tribal thinking by focusing on what truly matters: your character, wisdom, and actions. By keeping your political beliefs private and leading by example, you preserve your peace, avoid unnecessary conflicts, and maintain control over your own narrative. We all have dreams, ambitions, and goals that drive us forward. Whether it's a career move, a creative project, or a major life decision, our future plans represent our vision for a better life. But here's something most people don't realize. Talking about your plans too soon can weaken them. Why sharing your future plans can work against you. It's tempting to share our ambitions with others. We expect encouragement, support, or even advice. But more often than not, revealing your plans prematurely invites unnecessary pressure, doubt, and even silent sabotage. External pressure. The moment you tell others about your goals, they form expectations. Now you're not just working toward your goal. You feel like you have to prove something to others. This can create stress, anxiety, and a fear of failing publicly, unsolicited doubts. When you share a goal, people, whether intentionally or not, may question your ability to achieve. That's really ambitious. Are you sure you can pull it off? So many people have tried that and failed. Maybe you should have a backup plan. That's risky. You should play it safe. Even if their doubts come from a place of concern, they plant seeds of hesitation in your mind, making you second-guess yourself. Silent sabotage. Not everyone wants to see you succeed. Some people will subtly discourage you or even create obstacles. either out of envy or their own insecurities. Imagine you're working on a business idea or a fitness goal. You share it with friends, expecting motivation, but instead, their skepticism makes you start questioning yourself. The initial excitement fades, and your once clear vision becomes clouded with self-doubt. Psychological insight. Why keeping your goals private? Work studies show that keeping your goals private increases commitment, because when you work in silence, you're motivated by intrinsic drive rather than external validation. Talking about your goals tricks your brain into feeling like you've already achieved something, reducing your motivation to put in the actual work. When you keep them to yourself, you stay focused, disciplined, and accountable to yourself, not to others. The Stoic perspective. Silence strengthens commitment. The Stoics believed in mastery over self, not validation from others. They understood that true progress is made in quiet discipline, not public declarations. Marcus Aurelius, despite being one of the most powerful leaders in history, never boasted about his future actions. He simply acted. His philosophy was rooted in focusing on the process rather than talking about intentions. Move in silence. Let success be your voice. How to protect your future plans. Like a Stoic, work quietly. Keep your goals to yourself until they are fully formed or already in motion. Let results speak. Instead of announcing what you intend to do, let your actions and successes show your progress. Avoid seeking external validation. The moment you seek approval from others, you become dependent on their opinions. Stay focused on what drives you. Stay adaptable. When you share plans, they become fixed in people's minds. If you need to pivot or adjust, you may feel stuck due to external expectations. Keeping plans private allows for flexibility without judgment. Your future is yours to build. Don't hand over control of it by seeking premature validation. Instead of talking about what you're going to do, just do it. Let your actions define you, not your words. Success doesn't need an announcement, only results. We live in a world that equates sharing with connection, where oversharing is encouraged, and keeping things private is often misunderstood as secrecy. But in reality, embracing strategic silence is not about hiding. It's about strength, control, and wisdom. Every time you choose not to share your deepest fears, your biggest ambitions, or your struggles, you are reclaiming power over your own life. You are ensuring that your emotions, goals, and growth remain in your hands, not dictated or influenced by others. Why silence is power? It protects your peace. You free yourself from unnecessary opinions, doubts, and negative energy. It preserves your focus. Instead of seeking external validation, you direct your energy toward real progress. It builds unshakable strength. When you master the art of internal resilience, no one can manipulate or control you. The ancient Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, yet he kept his struggles and reflections private, mastering himself instead of seeking external approval. And now, it's your turn. Stop wasting energy seeking validation from others. Master yourself, your emotions, and your ambitions in silence, and you'll become unstoppable. If you found value in this, hit like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. Which of these will you start keeping private today?